We do want to continue right now with more news following the death of Connecticut State Trooper Kevin Miller. Community members near and far have come together to show their support and mourn his loss after he was killed in a crash on I-84 East in Tolland Thursday afternoon. Fox 61's Carmen Chow was in Tolland and brings us details.
This is Trooper First Class Kevin Miller. His official headshot just released this afternoon by Connecticut State Police. People that knew Miller well say there was more behind the uniform.
Always helping his son Ryan, playing baseball in the yard. Just real down to earth, quiet-natured, good-hearted person.
Micah Wellentukonis was Miller's neighbor. He says they used to always joke with each other and bonded over the veteran life. But tonight he found himself draping these two flags, saddened over the loss of a good friend.
Every hour of every day, for little pay and benefits, and Kevin's leaving behind two kids.
Matthew Corey said his brother served with Miller at Troop K in Colchester. He also helped hang the flags, one with a thin blue line that represents the tight bond law enforcement have.
Every day that they're out there putting their lives on the line, I think people should remember that.
Wipe each and every tear that falls from our eyes.
Over at Troop C, Miller's colleagues surrounded themselves around this memorial, all of them with their heads down in sorrow. The memorial was made by George Laws, the founder of Tolland Cares.
It should open everybody's eyes to what they go through. I mean, the sacrifice they give, the sacrifice their families give. I couldn't do it. This is the tightest community I've ever lived in.
Now, since Trooper Miller was also a martial arts trainer, there's going to be a brief ceremony that's happening just in about an hour and a half at 9:30 at the Aikido Hartford Dojo, where he worked part-time. Well, getting back to that UConn women's basketball, a really tough morning here for so many fans waking up after last night's game. Fox 61's Rich Capola is in Columbus, Ohio right now for us. Rich, really tough morning here in Connecticut. I can only imagine what those moods are like out there.
Well, Ben, the sun did rise here in Columbus, as I'm sure it did throughout Connecticut. And you hate to use the boxing analogy because it's so overused, but it was like a boxing match. It was punch, counter punch. Look what has happened to UConn the past 2 years. They've lost just 2 games, but they've taken punches in the last 2 years. They've taken knockout blows, and so it's not just the fact that they've gone down to defeat, but as Gino Auriemma talked about, it's the manner in which they've been defeated.
We kept fighting back, and so I think it stings a little more when you have it happen after you've experienced that part of it.
Every time in the past, if a girl went off on you guys in the first half, you made adjustments at halftime, and always seemed to stop her in the second half. But with Young, you just had no answers for her.
Yeah, she stepped up really big for them. She wasn't necessarily our main focus going into our scouting report, and she clearly knew that, and she knew that she had to make big plays for her team.
A couple of possessions there where it was surprising to see how you just really couldn't get anything close to what you wanted to get. Do you look at it as we just didn't execute, or tip your hat to them for playing great defense?
I think it can be a little of both. I think there were times that we did get a little out of sorts, but there were times that they were just playing great defense.
It was kind of a dogfight. I thought just both teams throwing punches. They made some big plays, some good plays. We made some good plays back.
There was no backing down either way, and just like last year, it came down to one play, one shot, and they made it.
All the good things about playing this year as opposed to having to sit out last year, this is the other side of it, where does it hurt a little bit more because you were playing and weren't able to get the win?
Yeah, it does hurt more. It hurts a lot more.
Well, the good thing is Azare Stevens will be back next year to try it once again. And Ben, Katie Lou Samuelson won a national championship as a freshman, but sat out the national championship game because she was injured in the semifinal. She'll be a senior and will still be looking to actually play in her first national championship game. Now, at other programs, not a big deal, but at UConn, it certainly is. And consider this, they're still unblemished in national championship games at 11-0, but for the fourth time since 2001, Notre Dame has knocked them off in the national championship game, or in the national semifinal, I should say, last year in overtime. So back-to-back years, the Huskies lose in overtime. That's a story from here in Columbus. Ben, back to you.
All right, Rich, not a bad season, but I know you had a late night and safe travels back. We look forward to having you back. Well, moving on right now, the death of an East Haddam woman now leading police to look at another case involving the victim's husband. State police say 56-year-old Sandra Kolaski was found dead inside of a home on North Moodus Road last week. The office of the chief medical examiner said Kolaski died from blunt force trauma around the head and upper body. Police have not named any suspects. State police are now taking a look at the circumstances surrounding the 1999 death of Paula Kozlowski. She died from a gunshot wound. Her death was ruled a suicide, but later changed to undetermined. The Current says both women were married to Robert Kozlowski and died in the same house 19 years apart. Right now, Manchester police are searching for the man accused in a vicious attack. Police say Antoine Shepard is wanted for trying to rob someone and then stabbing them inside of an apartment on Oakland Street on Tuesday of this week. Shepard is considered armed and dangerous. A short time after that stabbing, a fire broke out inside that apartment. Investigators are still trying to figure out if the two are linked. Big story we're following. Congresswoman Elizabeth Esty in the spotlight after a former aide faces allegations of sexual harassment. After Congresswoman Esty was informed of those actions, he continued to stay on staff working for her for 3 months. This morning, some are calling for the Congresswoman to resign. Fox 61's Ika Jachi has details.